The boy's feet were bleeding, but he didn't stop walking. For 3 weeks, 13-year-old Kofi had been moving towards something he wasn't sure existed, a father everyone told him was dead. It started with a letter that should never have arrived. Kofi was returning from the well that morning when he saw his grandmother sitting outside their mud brick home, her hands trembling around a piece of paper. The old woman who had raised him alone was crying, something he'd only seen twice in his life. "Grandmother, what's wrong?" She looked up, her weathered face twisted with an emotion Kofi couldn't name. Anger, grief, something else. "It's nothing. Go inside." But Kofi saw the envelope on the ground, half torn, with a return address from the capital city. He picked it up before she could stop him. "That's from my father," he whispered, recognizing the name written in faded ink. "But you said he died when I was a baby." His grandmother stood abruptly, snatching the letter from his hands. "He did die. To us, he died." "What does that mean?" "It means he left." Her voice cracked. "He went to the city for work and never came back. No money, no messages, nothing. For 13 years, nothing. And now this." Kofi's world tilted. Everything he knew was built on a lie. "What does the letter say?" She wouldn't answer. That night, after she fell asleep, he found it hidden under her mat. The paper was water-damaged, whole sections illegible, but he could make out fragments. "I'm sorry. Accident. I want to see my son, if he'll forgive me." There was a partial address and a photograph tucked inside, a man with kind eyes and a wide smile, looking nothing like the ghost story Kofi had imagined. Before dawn, he made his choice. He packed 2 mangoes, filled a plastic bottle with water, took the letter and photograph, and left a note. "I need to know the truth." The first day of walking, Kofi felt brave. The red dirt road stretched ahead through familiar farmland, and he told himself he'd find his father by nightfall. But as the sun set and the landscape remained endless, reality crashed down. He was a child alone, with 300 kilometers ahead and no real plan. That first night, he slept in a bus station, using his bag as a pillow, waking every time someone passed. An old woman selling roasted corn watched him huddle against the wall. "You're far from home, boy." Kofi nodded, not trusting his voice. She handed him an ear of corn. "Where are you going?" "To find my father, in the capital." Her eyes softened with recognition, the look of someone who understood loss. "I had a son once. He went to the city too, never came back." She pressed another corn into his hands. "Don't lose yourself looking for him." By the second week, Kofi's feet were blistered, his mangoes long gone. He walked through villages where he knew no one, hitching short rides when farmers took pity on him. One truck driver asked too many questions. "A boy your age alone? Someone's looking for you." "My grandmother knows where I am," Kofi lied. "Does she now?" The driver's eyes were skeptical but not cruel. "You running to something or from something?" "To something. Someone." The driver nodded slowly. "That's the harder direction. Running away is easy." In a small town market, Kofi's money ran out. He went a full day without eating, sitting outside a restaurant watching people devour plates of food. A group of street kids approached him, 3 boys around his age, sharp-eyed and suspicious. "You knew?" the tallest one asked. Kofi nodded. "You can't sit here. This is our corner." "I'm not staying. I'm just passing through." The boy studied him, then crouched down. "You look half dead. When did you last eat?" "Yesterday." The boys exchanged glances. The tall one, who said his name was Jabari, disappeared and returned with a chunk of bread and some fruit. "Here, but you need to move on tomorrow. Can't have the police thinking we're recruiting." "Recruiting for what?" "Doesn't matter. Where you headed?" Kofi showed them the photograph and the torn letter. Jabari whistled low. "The capital? That's still a week on foot, maybe more." "I know. Why? What's so important?" "He's my father. I need to see him." One of the other boys laughed bitterly. "Fathers, they're all the same. Mine promised to come back too." But Jabari silenced him with a look. "No, man, don't put that on him." He turned back to Kofi. "Listen, there's a bridge outside town. Safe place to sleep, dry, and the police don't bother you there. Stay tonight, rest up. You'll need your strength." That night under the bridge, Kofi huddled with a dozen other homeless people around a small fire. An old man shared his blanket without speaking. When the rain came, a violent storm that turned the world into sheets of water, they moved deeper under the concrete shelter, and Kofi realized how easily he could have died out here, how many times luck had saved him. He pulled out the photograph, now crumpled and faded from being carried in his pocket. His father's face was barely visible. For the first time, doubt crept in. What if his grandmother was right? What if this man didn't deserve to be found? But then he remembered the words in the letter, "I want to see my son." Someone who felt nothing wouldn't have written that, wouldn't have kept hoping after 13 years. The next morning, a truck driver offered him work loading cargo in exchange for a ride. Kofi's arms burned, his back ached, but by sunset he was 50 kilometers closer to the city. The driver, a quiet man named Samuel, didn't ask many questions until they stopped for the night. "You got people waiting for you in the capital?" "Just one person. My father." "He know you're coming?" "No." Samuel was quiet for a long moment. "That's brave or foolish. Maybe both. What if he doesn't want to see you?" The question Kofi had been avoiding. "Then at least I'll know. At least I tried." "Your mama okay with this?" "I don't have a mother. My grandmother raised me. She didn't want me to come." Samuel nodded slowly, understanding passing between them. Sometimes the people who love us try to protect us from hurt. Sometimes they're wrong to do it. He handed Kofi a sandwich. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow I'll take you as far as the city limits." When Kofi first saw the capital's skyline, his breath caught. Buildings taller than anything in his village, cars everywhere, noise that never stopped. Samuel dropped him at a busy intersection, pressed some money into his hand despite Kofi's protests, and said simply, "Good luck, son. I hope you find what you're looking for." The city swallowed him whole. Kofi wandered for hours, showing the photograph and the partial address to anyone who would look. Most people brushed past him. A shopkeeper glanced at the paper and shrugged. A police officer told him to move along. Kofi's hope began to crumble. Then, as the sun was setting on his third day in the city, a woman selling vegetables squinted at the torn letter. "McKenna Street, I know this area. Not far. 10, maybe 15 blocks that way." Kofi's heart hammered. "Are you sure?" "My sister lives near there." "Yes, I'm sure." He ran. His exhausted legs found energy from somewhere deep, carrying him through unfamiliar streets until he saw the sign. McKenna Street. The buildings here were old, crumbling, not the gleaming towers he'd seen in the city centre. He checked the letter again. Number 42. The apartment building was 4 stories, paint peeling, with a broken front door. Kofi climbed the dark stairwell, counting floors. On the 4th floor, he found a door with 42 painted in faded numbers. He stood there for a full minute, unable to move. Behind this door was the answer to everything. Or nothing. What if it was the wrong address? What if his father had moved? What if... He knocked. Silence. He knocked again, harder, shuffling footsteps inside, slow, uncertain. The door opened a crack and a thin man appeared, gaunt, older than the photograph, with eyes that stared past Kofi without seeing. In his hand was a white cane. "Who is there?" The voice was weathered but familiar in a way that made Kofi's chest ache. Words stuck in his throat. He'd walked 300 kilometers, survived storms and hunger and doubt, and now he couldn't speak. "Hello? Is someone there?" It's me." Kofi's voice cracked. "It's your son." The man froze. The cane clattered to the floor. His blind eyes widened, his mouth opening and closing soundlessly. Then his hands reached out, trembling, searching the air. "Kofi?" "Yes." No, it can't be. You're in the village. His hands found Kofi's shoulders, moved to his face, traced his features with shaking fingers. Tears spilled from those sightless eyes. Oh God, it's really you. Your voice. I'd know your voice anywhere." Kofi collapsed into his father's arms, and they both sank to the floor in the doorway, holding each other and weeping. 13 years of absence poured out in that moment, all the missed birthdays, the unanswered questions, the loneliness that had shaped both their lives. Inside the sparse apartment, just a mattress, a small table, a hot plate, they sat across from each other while Kofi's father, whose name was Mensa, explained everything through tears. "I came to the city for construction work. Good money. I was going to save enough to build your grandmother a proper house, to give you opportunities. Then there was an accident, a scaffold collapsed. When I woke up in the hospital, everything was dark. They said the damage was permanent. His voice broke. I couldn't go back. I couldn't face your grandmother as a blind man who'd failed to provide. I was too ashamed, too proud. I stayed here, learned to do small repairs by touch, barely surviving. I wrote that letter 6 months ago in a moment of weakness. I paid someone to write it for me. I never expected. How did you even get here? I walked. You walked? From the village? For 3 weeks. Mensa's face crumpled. 3 weeks, alone. You're 13 years old. Do you understand what could have happened to you? I had to find you. I had to know if you were real. Oh, my son. My brave, foolish son. Mensa pulled him close again. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. Grandmother said you abandoned us. I did. I abandoned you because I was a coward, because I thought being blind made me worthless. I was wrong. I was so wrong. He touched Kofi's face again, as if reassuring himself this wasn't a dream. You walked 300 kilometers to find a father who ran away. Why? Kofi thought about the old woman who'd shared her corn, Jabari and the street kids who'd helped him, Samuel who'd driven him closer to the truth. Because people told me stories about you, about family, about how the hardest journey is sometimes the one back to each other. I wanted to decide for myself if you were worth finding. And you're here. You're real. That's enough for now. They talked through the night. Mensa described the accident, the years of isolation, the shame that had kept him paralyzed. Kofi told him about the village, about grandmother, about the journey that had transformed him from a boy into someone older, someone who'd seen both the cruelty and kindness of the world. Does your grandmother know where you are? No, she'll be so angry. We need to call her. Tomorrow. What will you say? Mensa was quiet for a long time. That I'm sorry, that I've been a coward, that our son is the bravest person I've ever met. 3 months later, Kofi still hadn't returned to the village, but he called his grandmother every week from a neighbor's phone. She'd been furious at first, then terrified. Then, slowly, something like forgiveness had begun to form. She'd agreed to let Kofi stay in the city for the school year. He was enrolled in classes now, living with his father, helping him navigate the streets. Mensa had found better work doing phone repairs by touch, his skilled hands able to fix things others needed eyes to see. Every morning, Kofi walked with him to his workshop, describing everything they passed, the fruit vendor on the corner, the way sunlight hit the buildings, the colors his father could no longer see. They walked together through the market one Saturday morning, Kofi's hand on his father's elbow, narrating the world. The mangoes look good today, really ripe. The seller is waving at us. Buy 2, Mensa said. Your favorite. Yours too, remember? From the village? I remember everything about the village. I remember you as a baby. I remember leaving. I'll regret that forever. But I found you. You did. You walked 300 kilometers and found me. Some journeys are measured in distance, Kofi said, surprising himself with the wisdom that had grown from his ordeal. Others are measured in courage. Mensa stopped walking, turned his blind eyes toward where he knew his son stood. And some journeys never really end. They just change direction. They continued through the market, father and son, 2 people who'd been lost and found, learning to see each other clearly for the first time. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, telling us about a journey you've taken to find someone or something important. And don't forget to like this video. It helps others discover these stories too. Thank you for walking this journey with Kofi. Until next time.